Elden Ring has shipped over 20 million copies in just over a year of release, which is over double the sales their second most sold game accumulated and not even comparable to their others. But what's even more unbelievable is how quickly Elden Ring done this, selling over 12 million units in just a couple weeks. And if that's not enough to convince you how popular Elden Ring was on release, here are some other things to consider. Elden Ring was the second best-selling game of 2022 in the US. It was also Europe's biggest new game IP launch since 2016's The Division. Its UK release was the biggest launch for a game other than FIFA or Call of Duty since Rockstar's Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's Steam's 6th biggest game ever in terms of concurrent players, with a peak of over 950,000, which is more than 7 times that of Dark Souls 3. And on top of that, the game sold 1 million copies in Japan alone in the first 2 weeks of release. So clearly Elden Ring was extremely popular and had a worldwide appeal, but why was it this popular? Well, the main reason for this, in my opinion, is how accessible the game is compared to other titles From Software has made. The normal formula for most Souls games in particular would be progressing through the bosses and enemies in order of when you come across them, but in Elden Ring's case, you could explore and essentially beat the game at your own pace or order. But what's even better is, despite this, the game is still extremely difficult. Yes, you can make the game easier for yourself by using certain weapons or items, and leveling up your character by defeating weaker enemies, but on the flip side of that, you can also make the game extremely brutal for yourself. So either way, the game's open world and accessibility creates the closest thing to a difficulty setting without actually having one, despite many casual players always moaning for one in past entries. But giving players the ability to truly tailor their experience for themselves without losing the challenge and charm that From Software games bring is extremely impressive. So yeah, integrating an open world into a Souls game had high risk, but also extremely high reward, as although it's extremely ambitious, it's also extremely sought after and works surprisingly well with the Souls-like formula. Most open world games, especially now, seem to focus more on quantity over quality, but Elden Ring was able to handle both, offering a massive open world to explore while also still having extravagant music, insane boss fights, and a detailed story. This, paired with the difficulty side of things, I think made the perfect balance for most players, since people that may not have enjoyed the challenge and linear progression of other Souls games would love the freedom and deviating formula that Elden Ring offered, while the die-hard players would still love the challenge the game can bring and the aspects that Elden Ring does keep from previous entries. That being said, Elden Ring isn't quite Breath of the Wild level of freedom. You can't just go straight to the final boss in the game and complete it, but there are still many different paths you can take until you get there, which really helped ease new players into the Souls game formula, including me. Before Elden Ring, the only Souls game I'd ever played was Bloodborne, which I just couldn't get into at all. But when Elden Ring came out, I just couldn't stop hearing about it. The game was all anyone talked about for the majority of 2022. And not only that, the high praise the game received was monumental. And because of that, I forced myself to try it, despite not enjoying a similar game From Software had also made. And honestly, I'm so happy I did, because to this day, I would still say Elden Ring is the best game I've ever played. The experience and journey you go through alone, especially as a new player to the genre, is immense. From the beautiful sights to the triumphant wins to even the devastating losses, it all collectively makes the game a truly incredible and unique experience that you can't help but feel an extreme achievement in beating, for new players and old. Yes, From Software makes great games, most people know that by now, but not everyone is open to actually trying them, whether it looks too challenging or looks too trivial or whatever other reason people may have. At the end of the day, people need good reason to spend their money on a game, especially now, and Elden Ring ticked all the boxes in that regard. It offered the perfect blend of challenge, convenience, variation, beauty, and most important of all, it offered an amazing experience. And I'm sure the recently announced DLC will do nothing but add to that, especially when you look at how much time and effort has been put into past DLCs for past games. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for this DLC to come out as well, and it'll be interesting to see if Elden Ring can get the same amount of hype and good overall reception as it did at launch. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. community. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like so I know to make more videos like this. And also, while I'm here, I just want to quickly mention that memberships are now available on the channel. Basically, for £2 a month, you can support me and get some cool perks too, like access to my Discord, shoutouts and videos, like right now I'd be shouting people out, and access to my VODs whenever I stream on the channel, and more. So if you'd like to support the channel and get perks like those, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.